Hi, I'm Alicia, and welcome to my Operational Innovations channel, where I focus on process tips, techniques, and strategies to help you level up in the area of project management, product ownership, and small business operations. Today's topic, we're going to focus today on Workspace. This is from my Small Business Health Check series. And in addition to this video, the one that I recorded, I'm bringing you some different perspectives. You can find the links below to the video that I ran, and I'm excited to bring you a different perspective today. I'm thrilled to introduce my friend Tiffany. She and I met at a conference in San Francisco, maybe a year ago now. We were both presenters and speakers, and then realized that we both lived in the same area. And so we've met for coffee, we've met for lunch, we've hit it off, and we've been sharing ideas about being entrepreneurs and working for ourselves. And so I'm so excited to bring her wisdom and tips to our community day today. Welcome, Tiffany.
Well, good morning. Thanks, Alicia, for having me. It is one of my favorite parts about networking is getting to share stories with other small businesses and tips and tricks. So happy to hear that you're doing this series and glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome. Listen, we're going to jump right in here. So Tiffany, tell us a little bit about your business.
So I run a company called TGR Management Consulting, and we are a technology strategy and program management company. So we help other organizations both plan as well as execute on whatever their technology goals are.
Excellent. Excellent. And actually, now that you're saying this, the name of your business, and I'm reminding myself of this, the other aspect of my channel is around program and project management. So I imagine there's probably a topic or two that we will meet up again to talk about in an interview. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So how long have you been in business?
So I formally incorporated my business in February of 2017. I got the ideas late 2016 and finally put it all together in February of 2017. So a little over 3 years, so approaching 4 years. And it's been good so far. I'm really enjoying every part of it.
That's awesome. I'll say that, as a small business owner myself, we take stock in every year that we can achieve, and the year comes with its ups and it comes with its downs, but we get there and we keep moving along. We keep moving ourselves forward. So I just want to give you a high five for getting to 4 years. That's great. So tell us, where do you do your work with your clients?
So primarily I'm either on a client site or I am working from home. I do have a home office. It's where I am right now. It is a separate room in my house that does have a door on it. So that's a plus. But I can work pretty seamlessly in either place.
Okay. Well, and having a door can really matter, especially when you're looking at boundaries and trying to hold a space that's quiet, like if you're on a call or something like that. But not everybody has that. And that's why I want to be able to give these different perspectives on, on workspace and what's important, for workspace. What's important for you about workspace?
Well, I spent a number of years traveling, doing consulting. So I'd like to think that I'm relatively low maintenance in what I need to work, because I've worked in hotels and at conference tables, in the airplane, at uncomfortable chairs and so on. But there are a couple things that I really must have. One of which is a flat surface, and it needs to be enough space to have my laptop and a mouse. I love working with a mouse. I do not like the keyboard mouse or the little eraser mouse in the middle. I need to have my own extension mouse. So I need a big enough space to do that. Airplanes do not have that.
No.
So I also need a good internet connection. So we talked about physical workspace, but virtual workspaces, I work a lot virtually. Almost everything I do is up in the cloud. I rarely have anything that I download onto my laptop and take with me. So I need to have a really good internet connection. I also really like music. So I tend to do a lot of Amazon Music or some of the other online music channels. And so I also need earbuds. No one likes to hear my music on volume. So I also need earbuds. And then the last thing that I need is outlets. I have lots of things that have to get plugged in, whether it's to a USB or to a physical wall outlet. Outlets are important to me.
Yeah. You know, you bring up this idea of a virtual workspace, and that's really interesting because, as a I've done the similar type of work, probably not as long as you, being on the road and working in different places and kind of where you keep your work. This idea of a virtual workspace is really important because you got to be able to access the files wherever you are. You can't be, on a client side and then you can't get to the slide deck because it's on some hard drive on on a home computer or whatever. So really setting things up deliberately so that you have that's probably something everybody does now. I don't know, maybe, but I agree. I don't put a lot of stuff on my hard drive either. I keep a lot of stuff in the cloud and I have it really organized in a way where I can get to it seamlessly, whether
Mhm.
I'm on my phone, whether I'm in a hotel, whether I'm on a laptop, whether I'm on my iPad. It's a really important point about the virtual space. How long have you been using this virtual space idea the way you talked about it?
Well, since I started my company, so
Oh,
I actually built intentionally set up my company on the Google Suite. So I think it was G Suite at the time, and they may have renamed it once or twice since then.
mhm.
But I intentionally set it up that way because I wanted some ability to access, regardless of where I was at, whether I was on a Mac or an HP or an iPad or a cell phone. I just needed to be able to get to the things that I needed to get to, and that was less cumbersome than some of the
Yeah,
other options out there, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Huh. Well, that's really interesting that you sort of set it up deliberately. What I find is that, and I've done some consulting businesses before, and I find that if you're not comfortable with technology, that whole setup is oftentimes just a burner. People don't want to deal with it, and so kind of getting that plan around it and that strategy and deliberately setting things up or retooling things in a way that better serves us really an advantage. And speaking of advantages, what's an advantage to your workspace? Your workspace that you work from home, we'll say.
Yes. So we talked about it already. I have a door, so that helps a lot. But I also have in front of me, I'm looking up from the camera right now. In front of me, I actually have a small bulletin board on my desk where I've got little things that give me a visual distraction, but at the same time, it's not so distracting that it mentally distracts me. So
Mm,
I have things on my bulletin board. For example, I have a little index card that says, um, stop planning and start doing. So
mm.
this whole idea of taking imperfect action, like stop thinking about it, whatever it is you're thinking about, stop it and get busy.
Ah, yes.
So again, it's a little bit of a visual distraction when you're spending time looking at spreadsheets or emails or just words on a screen. I can
Yeah.
look up, I can have something, and then it helps me kind of mentally refocus back to what it is I should be doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. So having a door, having something that's visually around you that kind of helps either stimulate your thinking or take a break from what you're working on. Any other advantages?
I think the other thing is that again, intentionally, I have a big monitor. So for the type of work that I do spend a lot of time looking at spreadsheets. Even though I'm doing a lot of program management, you'd be surprised how many spreadsheets that I actually work out of on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And columns and rows, it seems to visually for me, I need that on a bigger screen. That just sort of helps with the mental, uh, mental endurance as well as visual endurance as we get into some long days in front of a computer screen.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I've got a couple of big monitors too, and when I did my video that I'll put a link to below talking about Workspace, I actually showed a photo of just the whole setup that I have with the three screens, two big 24-inch monitors, and then my laptop. I'm actually about to get a new laptop because this one, I'm hoping this one will get through this video. I need a new laptop so bad, it's crazy. But having a big screen here also, and I just really need that from a logistics perspective to work with a flow, right? And so I hear you totally. So what are some of the disadvantages to your workspace?
Well, so working from home, we have to be very diligent about blocking out all of the other things that can distract you in your house. So when I leave the door open to my office, I find that I can actually hear things whispering to me, like, come clean me, come do laundry. Uh, aside from also the other noises that are in the house.
Right.
So for me, the disadvantage of working from home is that you can get very, very easily distracted by
Yes.
multiple coffee refills, checking out what's in the fridge multiple times a day. And so that's the big disadvantage.
Yeah.
I find sometimes too that when I'm working at a client site, I'm very easily distracted socially, which
Mm.
is wonderful. I love going to the clients. I love interacting with them, and I really feel that they enjoy interacting with me as well. But um, it is not necessarily a conducive place to get work done. So I've had to be very diligent about, okay, when I go to the client site, let me be realistic about what work I'm actually doing here. And then when I'm at home, okay, again, we're going to set certain activities to only be done at home because that's where I can start to focus on them. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to close my door.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think in the work of program and project management, a big part of that work is building relationships. And so when you're in the office, if there's that quality of the social aspect of things, that goes a long way to that, and I hear what you're saying, that if it's about trying to bury your head into a spreadsheet, not really easy to do when you have that social element when you're in the office. Any other disadvantages besides the loud refrigerator and the loud washing machine or pile of laundry or whatever it is?
I think disadvantage of working from home is trying to get that physical separation from work. Um, Being entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time working on our business, a lot of time, but we also have to dedicate time to doing other things. So uh, you just need to set up a routine for yourself where when you're in the office, you are physically in a space that reflects office to you, however, whatever that looks like or whatever that needs to look like in your space. And then when you are not in the office, you actually need to leave that space and go to a different space.
Yep. This is so important. I have to tell you, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 time, and a lot of people who have suddenly found themselves working from home are really struggling with this because they don't have these important boundaries set up about work and home. And part of the challenge too is that if they never intended to be working from home, they might be sitting at the edge of their bed with a TV tray trying to do work, and being on Zoom calls all day. They never intended to work from home. They don't have office spaces at home. And so this division of between work and home becomes very fatiguing if we don't get our arms around it. And this is why I think so many people are just really feeling so overwhelmed and stressed, with the current time and the current context. And so this is a really important thing for entrepreneurs, whether it's the current context or whether it's not the current context. Having those important boundaries around our work is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that actually would be one of my tips is
Yeah.
that you establish, in addition to establishing your physical space and your physical routine, you need to do that in the context of your mental routine.
Yes.
So again, physically, if I'm in the office, I'm doing office things in my physical space. And then if I am not doing work-related things, if I'm bouncing my checkbook or signing kids up for camp or making doctor's appointments, I am actually picking up my laptop and moving somewhere else and doing that work somewhere else so that I can help my mental self kind of refresh.
So important. So important. This is what I learned. So this is the third time for me being an entrepreneur. And I just vowed that I was going to get it right no matter what in this lifetime. And the first two times when I was an entrepreneur, I didn't have those boundaries. I worked from home and I just worked all the time. I was single then too, but I just worked all the time and didn't even create any boundaries for myself around work and home. I did have a workspace, so I had a second bedroom that I worked in. But as far as the time that I spent working and just my commitment to what I was doing at that time, I really learned this time around to create that division of work and home and life and honor it. because it's a boundary that I'm creating for myself. And if I don't honor it, then how can I expect anybody else to? Right. So I really, really, really appreciate you bringing this up. It's such an important topic. I'm actually going to do a video in my pro tip series for entrepreneurs around boundaries. We're going to talk about it more. It's so, so important. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So thank you for any other tips that you can think of for the entrepreneur.
No, I think you kind of learn as you go. So, if I had one tip, just kind of blanketly saying, it's just to stay flexible, right?
Yeah.
It's it may not work out the way you thought it was, and that's okay. Come back in the next day and try something different.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll find your way. You'll find your path.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Kind of holding the space for, inspecting and adapting, right? You come in, you try something out, you're like, oh, I didn't really love that. You just inspect it, make a tweak to it, and give it. And that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur. You don't have to ask anybody's permission to do it. You can
That's
just
right. There you
fix
go.
it. Love that. Yeah. So great, Tiffany. Thank you so much for your tips, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your experience and your story about how Workspace impacts you and what's important for you, and some tips that people can learn from. Where can people find out more information about you and your business?
Well, I am pretty active on LinkedIn, so you can search me out on LinkedIn, and I think Alicia, you'll provide a link to my LinkedIn below in the
I
comments,
will.
which is great. Please connect with me. I'm always accepting connection requests. And then also you can reach out to my website. One of the projects that I undertook in the last several months was revamping my website. So I'm actually going to launch that very soon. So TGR Management Consulting.com will get you there, and would love feedback once I do launch that new site.
Awesome. Well, good for you. Thank you so much for that. So that's it, folks. Another perspective on this topic of Workspace. What resonates for you? What tips or resources do you have? Please share your input, your insights, your tools, all of that good stuff. Put that stuff down in the comments below. Anything that you can share on the impact, advantages and disadvantages of Workspace, and any ideas that you have there. As small business operators, we're all in this together, and we can all use the help that we can get. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for continued tips, continued interviews on my ongoing series, The Top 10 Tips for Small Business Operators. If you like this video, I invite you to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notify button, because you'll get the new content that comes out as soon as it comes out. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.